Alright, y'all, it's your girl Kia and Mercy. Just got in a little while ago. I had to eat me something. I've been out all day running errands. There's a video coming y'all way. I had two things I jumped on to talk about while I was en route. Hopefully I can get some comments and things in one of the comment boxes regarding that. Today we're gonna get a little serious, y'all, and I'm gonna ask right off the bat that y'all make sure that you all click like, share, subscribe, hit the bell. My daughter told me earlier, people were calling saying, well, when you gonna send out the next video? And I'm like, you don't get the alert when I post the video? And my kids was like, don't nobody know nothing about the bell, mama. They talk to me like everybody is old. Hold on, y'all. That might actually be a little better, but I'm gonna cut this back on. I told y'all I've been having issues with this whole lighting thing. Somebody was nice enough to say, hey, if you turn off the lamp in the back, that may be the reason, because it's giving off so much brightness that it keeps triggering your camera to go dim. And I was like, really? I love when I get help. Y'all know I don't know nothing about this. All I know is my testimony that I'm supposed to share. I'm probably supposed to have a team. That's a little ways down the line. I can't come out the gate swinging like Teddy Riley did. Y'all keep telling y'all, I'm babyface. As long as y'all can hear me, we good, right? But yeah, I think I'm going to leave that one off. So, the title of today's message is No Desire to Fight. And this video took me, it took me a second to get through the writing for this video, because when I script something, I can't always give you all everything at one time, because I'll be thinking I'm gonna leave something out that's pertinent to what it is I need to tell you all. So I try to make sure I script everything, and it took me some days to go through and script it, because I started out with what I was describing as my darkness, and it literally took me out. I started praying for other people that were in my circle and everything. So I'm like, Lord, if they experience the darkness, help them, Lord. But I felt as though, because I haven't even posted the other two parts to having multiple children have multiple children or multiple people out of wedlock. Struggles and barriers is floating around here somewhere. That's the third one. So we'll get that uploaded and posted. But somebody brought up the fact that I mentioned suicide, and they were asking me questions about what it looked like for me when I was entering into that mentally, how I got out of it, how did I feel when I was in it. And I felt as though they were asking because maybe I kind of treaded into familiar territory. Now keep in mind, when I give you all something that big, there's usually another message coming surrounding that. Understand that. I'm not going to mention something about suicide and then not do a video on it. So she was like, well, were you going to go back and speak on it? And I was like, I am. The video is actually titled A Desire to Fight. And she was like, oh, okay. I said, I'm not going to give y'all nothing big and not go back and actually have something pertaining to that. So I keep talking about cycles and traumas, and that series is coming. But literally, y'all have to understand, it takes so much to go back and hash out those feelings all over again to give it to somebody. I'm good, because somebody was like, you sure you good? I'm like, I'm resilient. Know it. So let's get into it, because this one was deep for me. Okay, so for me, feeling suicidal and being suicidal is two different things. So what I heard over the years regarding admissions of feeling suicidal were something like, well, I felt like killing myself, or I just don't want to be here anymore. This is what I heard in terms of feelings for suicide. And for me, these type of feelings can be followed up by impulse, which is the desire to act on something. And what ended up happening to me is that my thoughts of what I felt they weren't voiced. I wasn't vocal about it for fear of being ridiculed rather than helped. I told myself reasons as to why I may as well end it. And for me, these thoughts came with a form of darkness. The darkness is real. So I'm going to tell y'all what this darkness actually looked like for me. It was like I was awake, but I had moments where I blacked out. There was a sound that came with this darkness, and the sound was like excuse me, y'all. I was underwater when people talked to me. I could see them and hear them, but when they spoke to me, it was muffled. I couldn't really recall the conversation. It was like I was there, but I wasn't there. I knew I was alive in the world, but there were times I couldn't recall certain instances in my day. Some days I couldn't remember like what I had on the day before, or I would like I wouldn't know what day it was sometimes. I would wake up and try to remember what I was doing before I laid down, because my intention wasn't to go to sleep. Some days I couldn't even remember if I ate. And that you realize you have a problem when you get to a point where you don't recall if you ate or what you ate. You don't feel the hunger. There's no hunger pains anymore. Like now I'm okay. Let me miss a meal. But going through that, it's like you're numb. And like when I say I laid down and fell asleep, like I accidentally but on purpose would take a nap. Like my intention was like I'm gonna lay down and rest, but then I will wake up hours later not knowing that I had fell asleep. I spent a lot of time not in prayer but reminding God of all my mistakes. There was a feeling of not being loved and being unlovable. I felt like there was no one out there that could genuinely understand what I was feeling. And I felt like if I would have shared what I was feeling, then I would be ridiculed. I mean, hell, or even worse, somebody would try to commit me, because then they'd be somewhere like Natalie crazy. So it wasn't something that I shared. I wanted to shake it. I wanted to come out of it. But it was times where it was like, for what? That's okay. That's useless. For what? I had lost my house. I had lost my job. Here I was having 3 kids, and I was depending on a man that no longer wanted a family and who now saw me as weak. I mean, real talk, he didn't have to see me as weak. I mean, I felt that way in my soul. Him seeing me that way was more like confirmation for what I was seeing myself as. I knew that in order to get my life back, I would have to fight for it, like one day at a time. But most days my heart cried out and was like, fight for what? So it was like I wasn't finna fight what my heart was telling me either. I was hating myself for the situation I had got myself into, for the situation I had got my kids into, and now my new baby into. The way I saw it, I had a third baby with yet another man who changed his mind about us. And the thought I had for my kids is that I was a worthless mother who had lost her way and screwed up yet another relationship. I saw them as being better off without me. And to me, it was obvious there wasn't no way out. I felt like I was at rock bottom. I mean, I had never gotten to the point where I just was depending on a man to fix a situation for me. And it was mostly because I couldn't fix it myself. It was like you can't counsel yourself. So then what do you do? Because I can't tell anybody how I'm feeling, though I know what it is I'm feeling. And I can't talk myself out of what I'm feeling. So because of everything I was feeling, because there was a lack of attention for what I was feeling, the impulse began to rise up. And as no one had noticed anything was wrong. No one asked. If I did show up to family functions, I painted on a fake smile. When I saw my friends and family, I acted like everything was fine. And I still hadn't came across anyone that I really trusted with what I was thinking and feeling. So, because there was absolutely no one who, even if I missed a family function, came by to say, is everything okay? This ain't like you. There wasn't anyone. It was just me and my thoughts. The person that I was with wasn't really, I mean, he had other women. That's not, I mean, I'm not blaming him for what I was feeling, but if he's dealing with other women, he's not paying attention to what I'm feeling. That actually gives him an out. If I'm quiet and I ain't saying nothing, then, I mean, he may have been looking at it like, well, she ain't complaining about my whereabouts and everything, I might as well go. So he wasn't paying that any attention. So my thought was that I don't have to hurt about my mistakes anymore. I don't have to worry about not receiving enough love. I don't have to worry about disappointing my children. Maybe they're better off without me because I don't know what to do anymore. So, and I'll be kind of discreet as far as how I went about doing this, because I don't want anybody to sit here and think that this is okay for them to do. Not right now. I'm a walking testimony for this, y'all. Not right now. So, what ended up happening is that I attempted the first time. And for those of you who are listening, I'm sure y'all kind of can put two and two together. I attempted it the first time, and what ended up happening is that nothing really. I took a really long nap. So I was disappointed because I felt like this has to happen. I'm not supposed to be here anymore. This has to happen. And I was adamant about it. It's kind of ironic that it's now raining outside. And so I waited a couple weeks because I felt like, okay, there's going to be a sign. Someone is going to come and they're going to comfort me, or he's going to make things different in our house and he's going to profess his love to me, or my children are going to come to me and tell me I'm the best mom in the whole world. And within those next couple weeks, none of that happened. No one had noticed anything was wrong. Nobody asked if I needed anything. There was absolutely nothing except me and those thoughts that kept changing to impulse. So I went for it again, and this time I wasn't holding nothing back. And what ended up happening is that I woke up but thought that I was dead. My assumption was that I was dead. So when I woke up, I felt like I was I was high is basically what I was. So when I sat up, I felt lighter in my body. But there was something awkward as I went to plant my feet on the floor and sit up in the bed, which let me know that I was alive. And what it was is that I had peed on myself. And I was confused because I was under the impression that this worked. And as I sat there trying to figure out what I had just did to myself, one of my children came in the room and said, "It's about time you woke up. You've been asleep for 2 days." And I was like, "Really?" And she was like, "Yeah, you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he came to the door and was like, "Hey, I'm about to get up out of here." And I'm thinking to myself, no one tried to wake me. No one tried to. So he left. And once he left, I showered. I cleaned myself up. I washed the sheets. I opened the windows. I cut on the fan. I got out the Clorox and some warm water and soap and a scrub brush. And I scrubbed the crap out of my mattress. I dabbed at it with a dry towel to try to get as much of the soapy water out of it as I could. I left the windows open. I turned the fan on the bed, and I grabbed me a sheet out of the closet, and I got on the couch. And I knew he wasn't coming back the rest of the night, so I had time for the bed to dry. And I was so confused that I questioned God. I wanted to know why do you keep me here? I have nothing here. I don't understand why I'm here. This is horrible that you're allowing me to go through this. I don't want to be here. Why do I have to stay here? I was so disappointed that I realized you are this disappointed that you didn't succeed in killing yourself. Do you hear what you're upset about? And I think that some people, to be upset about something like that, will drive you to try again. But that was the second time I tried, and it was kind of like, okay, there's something more in what I'm thinking and feeling, because there's no way I've tried this twice. And clearly something happened the second time, because I was out of it and I lost control of my bladder in the process. So something had to have gone, well, I guess when you think about it, it was, yeah, drunk people get drunk and pee on themselves. So I guess it's just part of really being out of it. And I guess that's all I was out of it. I had to rethink some things because clearly he wasn't ready to take me out of here. And part of it is that when he have a plan for you, you don't rush my plan. It was almost as if he was like, what are you doing? That's not in my plan. And I was there's a part on Castaway, at the end of Castaway, the movie with Tom Hanks, when he's stranded on the island. And at the end of the movie, he's describing to one of his friends how when he was on the island, he attempted to take his own life. And he's describing how he was going to hang himself from a tree, but he needed to make sure that the branch that he was going to hang himself on would hold his weight. And he talks about how he got a log and tied the log to hang it from the branch to see if it would hold the weight of the log before he tried to hang himself. And he said the log snapped the branch. And he said what he thought about was, I have control over nothing. I can't even kill myself. I don't have control over anything right now. And I think that during that time for me, I didn't have control over anything. I didn't even have control over killing myself. That was not up to me. Now, people try this and they succeed. And I'd be lying if I said I wondered why I was one of those people that did not succeed. Because people do attempt it and it's fatal. It wasn't for me. So I held on as best I could. And in me hanging on, the man that I knew as my father lost his best friend. And we grew up with their kids. So it was only right to attend the funeral because they used to be our neighbors. So it was only right that we attend the funeral. And the funeral was at this church where they not only welcomed the visitors, they did a welcome for everyone in the church. So the way that they did it was they would say, you all get up and greet our first time visitors as well as each other. And then everybody got up at one time and started hugging each other. And I ain't never been in a church where it literally went on for about 10 minutes where everybody in the church is going to each other and they're hugging and they're saying, God bless you, God bless you. And if you were somebody that stood up, they said, welcome, God bless you. And there was something in that shifted in my spirit. Because here I was having strangers, people I ain't never met, hugging me and saying, God bless you. I was so confused. Now here I am, I don't have any fight in me. I don't want to fight. I'm tired. And even though I don't have the desire to fight, there was almost like something was rising up in me with every person that put their arms around me and said, God bless you. It was almost like it started happening in slow motion. And I'm walking through, and all of these people are wrapping their arms around me and saying, God bless you. God bless you. God bless you. God bless you. And it resonated me. It resonated in me so strong that by the time I got back to my seat, I was crying. I didn't know fully why I was crying, but it was like being there in that moment. It was almost like God had to tell me through all these other people. I'm sorry, y'all. And my father said, "This is a nice church, huh?" I wiped my eyes like I need to do now. I wiped my eyes. I said, they're so loving here. But I meant it when I said it. I had never felt that a day in my life. Not that many people, not all at once. And so I went on in that relationship without a job, without an income, relying on him, and we got evicted. And we had to move into his aunt's house. Me, him, the 3 kids, we stayed in one room at his aunt's house until we were able to move into a house of our own. Which even then, we moved into that house, and I knew, because it was obvious that even moving into that house, we only went together because we couldn't afford to be apart. Now, I still was trying to figure out what transpired in that church because I wasn't understanding it. So I felt like the only way for me to understand it was to go back. You have people who are addicted to alcohol. You have people who are addicted to cocaine. You have people who are addicted to crack. I became addicted to the hugs from the people in the church. So I went back and I was living for the hugs during the welcome. I know that sounds crazy, but I was. It was like nothing I had ever felt before. And the longer I stayed in that church, the more attached I got to the people in the church. And some of them witnessed me come out of something that was horrific. So what ended up happening is, in that house, while I was serving in the church, that house that we shared together is where we had started, as I talked about in another video, where we had started our premarital counseling. And after he moved out and I was stuck there with my one income from working a full-time job, which I got after we moved into the house, I got another job offer that was paying a little bit more money, but it required that I move to a different city, which to me was a fresh start. So I accepted the job and I came up with the money to move. And we moved out of that house, me and my kids. And what ended up happening is that sorry, y'all. I was thirsty and the kids had cold pop in there. I don't even drink pop like that, but I was like, I don't think I can say the name of the pop, but y'all saw the can. It's funny how sometimes you just crack something open and it's like, oh, the sound of it. So I moved, and while I was living in this new apartment and working my new job, I found myself buying 8 tires during the time I lived in that apartment. My tires kept getting slashed. And no, it ain't. You sure they were slashed? No, they were slashed. The police told me so. My tires kept getting slashed. And then I found myself being taken to court. And I found myself paying the daycare bill by myself. We originally agreed on some things, and you know how that go when people get upset about a breakup and they decide I ain't doing nothing. I mean, she ain't had nothing to do with it, but okay. I found myself paying for daycare by myself. And if anybody has a child that's in daycare all day, that bill alone is rent. I'm so serious. Now, the first thing I had people saying when I was complaining about it was, you don't qualify for child care? That would mean I would have to tell you how much I'm making. So the answer is no, I don't. People ask that question and they ain't even on child care themselves, or they don't have kids to have in child care. So you probably don't know that there's a cap per child. So I even called child care and was like, so what would I need to do to get assistance? You know what they told me? Well, I mean, if you had another child, technically the co-payment would go back to what it is now. I got to have another baby for y'all to help me? No, that's not going to happen. So, after so long of dealing with that, and not to mention in the middle of that, I'm paying daycare now by myself. My job decides that they had made a mistake during the hiring process and that they hired me in under the wrong employee type. So it turns out that I didn't qualify for overtime, which is what was helping me to pay the bills. So when they changed it back, now the issues that I had at my job were enough for me to have overtime every day and on the weekends. So I had a minimum of an additional paycheck every month. A minimum. It was usually way more than that. A minimum of one extra paycheck. So, oh, it's time for my nasal cleanse, y'all. And it's feeling like it. I'm still doing my regimen, y'all. I'm still doing my regimen. So I still do my nasal cleanse and I still take the allergy medicine. But I must say I have yet, I don't even think this desk is wood, but I've yet to have a migraine, y'all. So thank you, Jesus. I've been feeling good, y'all. So yeah, so basically what ended up happening is that I could no longer afford the rent, the bills, daycare, my middle daughter's high school tuition, because he stopped paying everything. The other one stopped paying. Everything just kind of happened at once, and I hadn't even been in this apartment a year. 6 months in, I was already knowing I was gonna have to move because everything had stopped. And so I went to one of my uncles. Those who know me know I got 8 uncles, 7 living. Rest in peace, Uncle Hussein. I have 7 living. So I went to one of my uncles and I explained to him what was going on. And I told you all before, I've lived with just about everybody in my family. When somebody don't have nowhere to go, they open their door. That's just who they are. They open their door. Now it's not your home, and it wasn't something I wanted to do, because that means it's me and my kids going to their house. It ain't just me. It's not, you don't have a house guest on your sofa. This is us needing a room. And he said if it comes to that point, then we'll have to move some things around in the house. But at that time, it was just him and my aunt in their house. So they had an extra bedroom on the other side of their house, which came with a full bathroom, which meant that we wouldn't have to disturb them. They wouldn't have to disturb us. So the time came. I told my uncle I couldn't do it. When it was time for me to renew my lease, I didn't renew my lease. I moved. I didn't know what to do. Again, I had got past the failed suicidal attempts, but at the same time, I still didn't have no fight in me. My tires kept getting slashed. I walked my baby to daycare and I walked to the train. And truth be told, where I moved to, I set it up that way because I've always dealt with bands. So I saw that coming. And even then, I didn't feel the need to jump up and down about it. I didn't call him going off. I didn't go to his house. I didn't do any of that. I let it happen when I could afford to get a new tire. I had it towed and got a new tire. I didn't have a desire to fight. The way I'm sitting here giving this to you all is exactly how I went about it. Now, this ain't me no more. But talking about it, I think back on it like, that was crazy. So, me and my children moved into my uncle's house. And that was the year that I was set to turn 40. I'm turning 40. And in a sense, I gotta go back home with my kids because my life is not going right. And at the age of 40, I died.